Wow, there was a lot that happened in this episode that I literally could not feel my mouth at all after this episode. Let's get straight into what happened in this episode, shall we? We begin with Obi-Wan having a meditation session to try to call Qui-Gon again, but Reva's words cut the interruption to have him be reminded of what happened between him and Anakin that haunts this session. During this, we get a moment with Vader being suited up from his arm to his armor and the helmet itself that makes Obi-Wan wake up. Seeing him all suited up and on Mustafar is the most powerful moment for him to be at, in my opinion. He is then talking with Reva, asking her where Obi-Wan is, and she tells him that they will find him and pay for the Grand Inquisitor. Okay, but hearing Vader say that the Grand Inquisitor means nothing, that brings a red flag that he's likely dead, and that is a big issue against the Rebels' timeline if it is true. And Vader tells her if she proves herself, she will get the position as the new Grand Inquisitor. Now I'm putting my input here. I do not think this will happen, and the Grand Inquisitor will be back to kill her. Obi-Wan and Leia are still in the transport shuttle, and also during that time, he fixes up Lola for Leia that makes her happy again. The shuttle makes it to Maz Puzo and quietly leaves the shuttle to find the person they are looking for from Haja. Though they have walked quite a while, and that makes Obi-Wan notice an illusion of Anakin in his robes from a distance that terrifies him, until Leia wakes him up and then they keep walking. It's about this time that Reva goes to the headquarters and meets with the other Inquisitors to discuss Obi-Wan's whereabouts. Arguments between the fifth brother and Reva on who shall take the next seat as the Grand Inquisitor happens until she mentions she spoke with Vader and commands them to send the probe droids out. Fifth brother is still being pouty about getting what he deserves, yet I don't blame him for his persistence. Unfortunately, the person who they were supposed to find wasn't there, and it makes Obi-Wan decide to turn back, but Leia finds someone to help them travel back to the port rather than walk, and so far she does well in keeping their identity secret from Freck, the Empire supporter. The trip is eventually stopped as some stormtroopers need a pickup and they question Leia and Obi-Wan. Everything was fine until Obi-Wan says Leia's true name instead of Luma, and he fixes it by saying he gets confused between her and her mother. Hearing him say looking at her makes him see her mother is such a sweet moment for us to remember by. Then the troopers get out and they make it to another stop that eventually becomes an issue for Leia and Obi-Wan that he had to shoot down everyone, even the probe droid that was there, and eventually sends an alarm to the Inquisitors. Even though they got to the other side, they were outnumbered along with an Imperial officer who then switches from being with the Empire and finds out it was a contact all along. They all go to a small town and hide in a building to reach a hidden room, and on every wall there's a marking who was there, including Quinlan Voss. Nice Easter egg, I would say. As they are about to escape, Obi-Wan senses something that scares him, and when they go out to peek out of the window, we see stormtroopers with the Inquisitors standing as the glorious Darth Vader walks in with his breathing. He continues to walk down and stops for a moment to freaking force choke a citizen out of their home, and for how dumb the son decides to come out and tell Vader to stop is what deserves him a neck snap death. Obi-Wan then tells Leia to follow Tala and then asks Tala to get Leia back to Alderaan while he distracts Vader. As they both leave, Vader is literally forced dragging a citizen and moving a box hiding a cobble. This is by far my favorite moment of seeing him being this powerful. Obi-Wan eventually goes out to a mining facility to find Vader standing there with his lightsaber out, and having the fear of just seeing him makes him run away, but only to find him again as Obi-Wan has his lightsaber out. The moment he asks Vader, "What have you become?" and Vader's response,
I am what you made me.
This made my mouth drop so badly that I have no words to even express this specific moment. Reva then finds the building Tala was hiding Obi-Wan and Leia as they are going through a secret tunnel, and then we come back to Obi-Wan and Darth Vader having a freaking lightsaber duel together, and I freaking screamed out watching this fight. Eventually Tala knew that they might have been followed, and Leia tells her to go stall Reva as she finds the secret hideout. Now, just seeing Reva in the room and looking at all the sketchings in the wall, she stares at the Jedi symbol, and we all know that Inquisitors were first Jedis until they turned with the Empire to hunt their own kind. This could be a possibility to get some background of Reva, but unfortunately that is not the case for now. We go back to Obi-Wan running away, but only to be force choked by Vader and picked up, who first throws a box full of coals of some sort that he eventually uses the lightsaber to ignite all the rocks as flames begin to rise. Now, I think this should have been a realization, and it was in fact true. Vader makes Obi-Wan burn from the flames as he was burnt on Mustafar and just says,
Now you will suffer. Your pain has just begun.
Eventually, Tala makes it to the site and the flames are already out. As the trooper is about to get Obi-Wan, she shoots him down. That sends alarms to the other troopers and shoots down the same blocks to ignite the flames again. The droid Kenobi picks up Obi-Wan and takes him to safety, but for Vader to watch in the flames is just amazing. We end this episode with Obi-Wan badly burned, not as how Anakin was, and Leia making out, but to only be found by Reva, which we never really knew how she was able to get to the other side so quickly. Just by having Vader be in the presence of this episode literally gives me an 11 out of 10 for this episode. Part of it felt like a filler to me, but it was just more interested in just seeing the true power Vader had by taking out those citizens in the street, and it was magnificent. I hope you enjoyed this episode review, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!